Happy Friday. Hello. So I'm still like super excited to be back. Day 2 of being back in a row, and that's awesome. And I'm gonna just kind of jump right into it because this has been something that has been on my mind for a long time, especially leading up to okay, for those of you that have been following the story of finding the house and all the things, right? If you haven't been following that, check out the link in my bio to my website. And then I have a blog series called Restoration. Go check that out. And so if you've been following along, you'll know that we actually started house hunting like back in October. We started doing paperwork and we were already looking at houses, and the paperwork took forever, complications, blah, blah, blah. And then finding the right house took forever. And so with life being already busy, right? Like I work a 9-to-5 job. I have a coaching business on the side. I have, so I do group coaching. I do emotion code sessions and similar energy type work. And then I have a Facebook group, and I try and show up in these lives, and I write blogs, and I have a newsletter that I put out every month, and I'm working on my books, plural, yes. So if you've been waiting for the first book that I was talking about back in January, that is still in the works, I've just kind of had a lot going on and started another book. So anyway, with just the regular stuff going on, there's a lot on the plate, right? And trying to find a balance between work and life. That has been something that I have been striving to unlock for quite some time, especially as an overachiever. And when I say overachiever, I don't always mean that I do things super well. I just mean that I do a lot of things, which is not always, ideal, but here we are. So anyway, obviously it worked out to some extent. Like it wasn't a complete failure. We're doing well. But anyway, so being that that's something that's been on my mind for a long time, I felt in the last couple of days, hence me being here, having an office to work in, it has a huge part to do with it. But I just felt ready to start thinking about other things. And right now, like the last 3 weeks, before that, it was work, side gigs, and get the barn ready, which Gabe was doing majority of. My husband, for those of you that don't know, he was doing majority of that. It had a lot to do with electrical work. Yay for knowing an electrician, a handyman that runs his own business. Yes, I'll steal his shirts too. Anyway, he was doing all of that for the most part. I mean, I came out and I was doing like the easy stuff, but he was doing most of the detail work. But it was a lot of juggling. And then the last 3 weeks with moving and just trying to get stuff unpacked in the house and trying to get the dogs acclimated and wanting Bruce to be comfortable, our horse, and maintain him. And it's a lot to be thinking about all at once. And so the last few days I've actually started to feel like, okay, I can start to wrap my head around. I'm ready to dig back in to where I left off with my business, with my coaching clients, all the things, right? And so this morning on my way to work, I just had this also side lessons, little asterisks here. Always listen to your intuition. If you aren't familiar with your intuition, totes need to jump into my heart-centered and intentional horsewoman group. We're going to start talking about intuition and how important it is. But anyway, so I had this feeling like I wanted to listen to something, but music wasn't it. And I couldn't find an audiobook that I actually wanted to dive into in the moment. So I ended up heading over to my podcast app, and I've got this thing going with unicorns right now, and I happen to see a podcast that says something about unicorns not wearing pants, and I was like, okay, sure. Turns out that was spot on, and that's why we need to listen to our intuition, because I got the best message from that, and I want to share it with you, because striving for this life-work balance, I'm so glad I can finally say it, because it's always felt like it. And then hearing someone else put the pieces together a little bit differently made me completely realize that it is bullshit. It is complete and total bullshit. And here's why. In her podcast, she talked about it a lot from an entrepreneur's perspective, which I can relate to. But the more I've been thinking about it and really stewing it over all day, it's bullshit for everybody. Because, and it should be obvious. Like, how is it not obvious that if you're trying to have life-work balance, then what you're saying is that it's okay to not be living your life while you're at work. And I don't know about y'all, but 40 plus hours a week, I know some people that work a lot more than that and they don't love it. And if that's you, like, I mean, I understand there's bills that need to be paid, but there's this question of like, how can you expect yourself to find life-work balance when really you should just be living your life? And are you living your life to its fullest if you're spending so much time doing something you hate? So for me, this was a huge realization because I was like, why am I trying to balance this shit? It's not gonna balance. It's never gonna balance because it's not meant to balance, because you need to be living in your alignment. And if you are not living in your alignment, AKA doing something you hate, you're going to be off balance. That's what alignment is. Alignment is balance. If you find yourself feeling like you're not getting that life-work balance you want, then what are you doing for work? And what are you doing for life? Like, what is it that you love to do that you're letting yourself do? If you, I'm speaking to me here, okay? Speaking to me, just much I'm speaking to you, because if you love spending time with your horses or your dogs or your children or whatever, but yet you don't spend the time because X, Y, and Z has to be done first, and you just have to figure out life-work balance before you can, even think to get out there and spend the time. If that's the case, then you're not even living. What are you doing? Take the time. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? And I think that's a very important question that I've asked myself for a long time, but not as often as I probably should. And I will be asking myself the question more. What is the worst thing that could happen if, fill in the blank, if I don't do the dishes tonight, if I don't take the dogs for a 2-hour walk, or if I don't spend 2.5 hours vegging on Netflix because I feel overwhelmed and need to like completely shut down because it's just too much. If it's too much, then the best thing you can do is spend some time doing something you love. And the more you fill your life with the things that you love, the more you're going to find it is in balance. It's perfect, because then you're in alignment. You're in alignment with your purpose, because, conveniently, our purposes often line up with things that we love. That is magical. And so finding that balance is really just living in alignment, living with what you want to do. So to summarize, life-work balance is bullshit. You're never going to find balance between life and work because you're trying to separate them. And I understand not everybody has a mind for it. Not everybody has a desire to create their own business and get paid for their passion. And in some cases, people aren't going to pay for your passion, and that's fine. I don't believe that that's a frequent occurrence, but I guess it could happen. The point is that if you're going to be working for someone else, at least love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing and you have to commit so much time to it that you don't have time to do the things that you love, then there's not any purpose in going to do the thing, to going to make the money from someone else. So life-work balance is bullshit. Just saying. Just saying. I had to learn a lesson the hard way, and now you don't, because I'm telling you. And if you need more clarification, look up the podcast that I listened to today. There's other people that talk about it too. Just Google it. Like, a lot of people have different viewpoints on it, and you just need to hear the right one to get you to understand how to find what you're really looking for. And that is a life that brings you joy every minute of every day. And if it's not bringing you joy, and obviously, yes, I know there's low points. I know that. I get that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the only reason that you shouldn't be living in joy is because something horrible happened, not because you're torturing yourself going to a job that you hate, not because you're not allowing yourself to take the time to do the things you love. Okay, I'm going to get out of here because I could ramble all day. And So I'm out. That's my piece for you guys tonight. Life-work balance is bullshit. And the fastest way to get what you're really after is to spend time doing what you love every day, even if it's 5 minutes. Even if it's 5 minutes. Spend 5 minutes doing what you love today and tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. All right. Talk to you guys later. Have a great night.